All right, so now I'm going to select this Add Texture 3A file, this texture, and this wedding shot. And to save myself some time, I'm just going to go up to Tools, Photoshop, and I'm going to load files into Photoshop layers because I know I want to use all three of these images together, and it's just going to save me some time. So there we go. Photoshop has loaded everything in. Aha, I say it's loaded everything in. I have noticed this bug popping up from here and there. And what I mean is, like, it looks like, okay, it loaded in these two, but this image, it didn't. It looks like it's probably going to be a bigger file, right? Transparent layers are indicated by this white and gray checkerboard pattern all throughout Photoshop. But it didn't come in. It's trying to load it, but there's some problem. So I'll delete that. I'll pop back over to Bridge and I'll just select this layer. This was a horizontal layer. And I'll just double click it. It's going to open up in its own tab, and we know how to pull this over. So whenever you get a bug, just adapt. Hover over the tab, drag it down inside, and let go. Now I have some issues. What are the issues? This file is way too big for this file. So I want to hit Command or Control 0 to fit in screen. See how much image I'm talking about here. I know I'm going to need to make this texture fit my image underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Command or Control T, which we know is going to edit and free transform. And I'm just going to grab that corner, pull it down. I'll hover outside the corner. See my cursor? So I can quickly rotate. I can click and drag it down and I can pull it. Okay, so what are we noticing? This is again where the aspect ratio doesn't match. So I have to hold down the Shift key to stretch that to cover my image. Click OK. So what am I want to do? I want to make sure all my layers are off except for the people. I'll hit C for the crop tool. I'll click once inside there and then click and drag the whole document over underneath. Then I'm going to drag the crop bounding box. Now, why is it only letting me do a square? That's because the last time I used it, I chose square. So I need to go up and either choose original ratio or I hit clear, where it just makes it go to ratio. That way I can choose the exact crop I want, which I'm going to crop it to about there, hit enter, and that got rid of all that information. I had delete crop pixels checked. That means there's nothing saved in the background that I can go back to, which is totally fine. It was all transparent. I hit Command or Control 0 to get back into full screen. All right, this is kind of a goth looking wedding, so we're going to really emphasize that with some texture. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on this one, and let's try our blend mode to see which best works for it. I have to decide, do I want to go more with a white border? I really think I'd rather go dark with a dark border. So right away that tells me I need to invert my colors here. So I'll just hit Command or Control I to invert this, and then I'll go back and try it again. All right, I like where that's going. Multiply, like that's really heavy-handed, but for this it may work out nice. All right, I like this. Now what I've also noticed is the colors are starting to confuse me. Like there's so much going on with the colors. I think I'd rather just focus on the black and white for now. So I'm just going to go back to the very top, add a black and white adjustment layer, and now come back and let's try it again. This is okay. I see where this is going now. I like the direction. I feel like the texture's a little too close to their heads. So I'm gonna hit V for the move tool, and it didn't let me go. It took me back to crop, but I want to make sure I choose this move tool so I can slide this up a little. I don't want such heavy dark corners. I'm gonna take some of that off. It looks like I'll have to hit Command or Control T to retransform it, fit. And remember, hold down the Shift key if you need to alter the aspect ratio. Maybe want to pull this out just a little bit. Yeah, something like that. All right, so I like where this is going, but it's super clean on the inside. So that's where I'm going to turn on this layer right here. So now I was looking through this layer, and it doesn't matter if yours was on top. If this layer happened to be on top, it's no big deal. Either way, it's going to work just fine. Notice it's black and white, even though it looks in color, because remember, I have the black and white adjustment layer at the very top to make everything black and white, so the colors don't confuse me. Now, what did I do on this one? I inverted it, right? So I'm probably going to want to match that same inversion. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Command or Control I. Okay, that inverted it in color, but again, it's being converted to black and white. But I think I want to tweak it a little bit. It looks a little too gray. So I hit Command or Control L, which is the destructive level adjustment, but I'm thinking I'm okay with that. And I'm just going to make the whites a little whiter, the blacks a little blacker, something a bit more dramatic. Click OK. And now let's go back and figure out which one we liked. Ooh, I like that. Lighten, screen. Ooh, screen is probably the best. That looks like it's a nice kind of worn, kind of gothy image. I don't like how it's messing up their face, but that's okay. We can add a layer mask and tweak that a little bit. But I do want to bring some of the color back. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the base layer of the couple. I'll hold down the Option key and click, and that's going to automatically duplicate and copy it so that the original stays there. I'm going to drag it all the way to the very top until I see this blue line, right? See where the blue line is? When I let go, that's where it's going to appear. And then I'm going to go up at the very top, and it's just outside of your recording area. But if you go to the very, towards the bottom area of the blend modes, down here is one for color. So I'm going to choose color. And then that's going to put all the natural color back while giving me that grungy look that I like. Now, again, I think it doesn't need this saturated of a color. So I'm probably just going to pull that down just a little bit, desaturate the color. And then remember this layer, if I turn it off and on, this is the one that added that texture across the entire image, but I don't like it on their face. So this is the layer I would select. Then I would add a layer mask using this icon. Make sure I'm on the brush tool, which you can always hit B for brush. B for brush. See, I'm not sure why it's not choosing that. There we go. Oh, that's why. If you hold down a key, it will temporarily change it to that key. But if you just tap it real quick, it will go select that key. I'm on a white mask, so I need to paint with black. And currently my opacity is at 50%, which is probably fine. Left bracket key. Just click on his face because I want the texture just more subdued. 50% click, 50% click, 50% click, 50-50, click, click, click. Maybe not so hard on his jacket. All right, I like where all of this is going. I've got a nice texture overall. So I'm gonna go to the very, very top of my layers panel. If I don't see all my layers and I want to, remember I can just double click on this properties tab and it will close it, pulling everything up. Now, I think what I'm wanting to do now is let's fine tune it a bit. I feel like this whole area here is a little flat for me. So I think I'd probably go in the burn tool, choose shadows, 10%, right bracket key, nope, left bracket key. I'm gonna brush a little smaller and I'm just gonna paint on some lines. Now what's going wrong? See, nothing's happening. Why? Well, if you look on the layer I'm on, the only thing it's doing to everything below is applying the colors only. So remember my favorite technique to make sure everything is all squished together. Command Option Shift letter E. Now it's on its own layer. Now when I go burn, see, I can get some nice subtle burns. I'm gonna use these darker areas as leading lines. I'm just clicking and painting, clicking and painting, clicking and painting, kind of pulling in from just getting rid of some of that mid-gray stuff. Maybe get some of this, maybe some of that. See, I'm just trying to create the eye movement and get a little bit more contrast in the image. Yeah, I think something like that looks really nice. Well, now that I've burned this and looking at it, their faces look a touch dark. So let's go ahead and click on this, select the dodge tool. So remember, the dodge tool lightens an area of the image. I'm on my midtones, which is perfect for this idea. Exposure 20%, left bracket key to make my brush a little smaller. And I'm just going to click and paint on the face, click and paint on the face. Maybe make a bigger brush and just do both their faces. There we go. Now we have a kind of a grungy wedding image that really focuses on the people. Let's option click on where we started. I mean, this is a nice shot, but this is your art. This is, if you like this brand or if you know the market you're going after likes this kind of look, then this is what you want to develop. Whatever your brand is, you'll figure that out. And you do it by experimenting because you've got to figure out how to differentiate yourself from the competition. Whether you're making fine art or commercial photography, retail photography, you've got to have a look that's your own look. And you've got to be able to perform multiple looks if you're working with a lot of commercial clients. So all your work doesn't look the same. So these are just options and tools to give you that ability. Hope this has helped. Hey, if you like this video, it helps. You can help me. Smack it, whack it, and crack-a-lack it. Take care. I like subscribers.
That's awesome. Whoa. Yes! Oh my god, I did. This is...
Hey, you stayed to the end. You know what that means? You're awesome. I'm talking about you. Now get out of here.